New hints coming in about the quarterback battle, man, and I'm stoked. And what about other position battles, man? Who am I predicting to win those?
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up? Welcome back in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia, baby. We're talking about the West Virginia Mountaineers football team again today. Is camp week. Training camp is here, baby. We're excited. Monday Fun Day is here. It has arrived. And what is up with the quarterback situation in Morgantown? We're going to get there. Also, other positional battles. What's going on with the battles, man? Who are the battles to watch? Who do you need to be paying attention to specifically? We know that they're trying to put five guys in the offensive line together, but who's battling it out for the right tackle spot? Who's battling it out for the left tackle spot? Who's battling out for the center spot? Who's battling out for the left guard spot? Who's battling it out for the wide receiver spot? I've got your answers. And like I said, some hints, baby, some hints on, no doubt, this quarterback scenario. So let's get there. This episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by none other than my favorite, Game Time. When we talk about Game Time, we talk about winning. And this episode is going to be brought to you by that Game Time. Download the Game Time at Keenan, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. Trying to get faster with it every single time. All right, so I told you guys I had some info roll in today, and all I have to do is just text the people I normally talk to. It's nothing major, right? I mean, like I said a few different times, I'm not trying to minimize it, but like, you know, when you've been doing this job as long as I have, you make some friends, right? Even amongst the players, you talk to some, and so you retain those, and as long as you keep good on what you say you keep good on, there's a pretty good chance that you continue to get some information, right? That's the case here. You know, I asked a few guys about the quarterback battle. Got some interesting answers on that. So we're going to get into that really quick because obviously we might as well just start with the breakdown. Since we're doing it, we'll start with quarterback. Obviously, the quarterback battle is going to be it's going to be decided between most people would agree that it's between four guys, but it could extend out to five. Apparently, you know, if somebody gets hurt or something. But Max Brown, Nicco Marchiol, Jaylen Henderson, Scotty Fox are your main four, right? Nicco Marchiol, Jaylen Henderson, Max Brown, Scotty Fox Jr., in my opinion, are the four guys to watch. I love Max Anderson. I think Khalil Wilkins has a chance to be good someday. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be here or not, obviously. And Scott Keene is a quarterback that, I mean, he's a redshirt junior. I don't anticipate on him playing this year. No offense to him. But obviously something's got to give between Jaylen Henderson, Nicco Marchiol, and Max Brown. They're two juniors and a senior here. So I was told that Nicco Marchiol has really stepped up his offseason leadership, that some of the things he's done this year, you know, what I don't know is if it's organizing the team outside of practice or what have you, but, you know, actually that's what it is. Things like that, you know, that people have taken notice of. It's almost like he's just, you know, it's one of those things where you're just acting as if this is my team and pretending like it's my team. No offense to anybody else around me. That's what I've heard about him. Jaylen Henderson has worked really hard. I've been told off on his own. I mean, maybe with a couple of guys he works. I don't know all the details, but I know Jaylen Henderson has been working extremely hard, and I'm told sometimes 6 or 7 days a week he's been putting time into his craft. I think he views this as Nicco Marchiol has already got relationships with all these guys, or some of these guys, and he's the newcomer. He understands that. and he understands that coming in this summer and winning the job is how he's going to win the job, obviously. If you look at Max Brown, it's the same mindset. I don't have it. I didn't ask about Max, at all, but I would assume it's a similar mindset. If you come in and play the best over the next 4 weeks, Rich Rod will play you. You will start. Same thing with Scotty Fox. He's the dark horse that I've been hearing a lot about, guys. I'm just telling you, I've heard a lot about Scotty Fox. I've told you guys this multiple times now. So, would I be shocked to see Scotty Fox play at some point like a Pat White, maybe 5-6 games of the season? Nobody's working out. What does Scotty Fox do? He comes in and just breaks loose. I could see that. Would that be good for year one in Morgantown? No, not necessarily. But absolutely don't count out Scotty Fox. So that's what I'm hearing on the situation. Now, as to who is winning the job, it's tough, right? I think right now you have to favor Nicco Marchiol based off the offseason so far. Right now, you have to favor Nicco Marchiol. We're gonna hear more as this camp season goes along over the next 3 to 4 weeks. And is it going to be ever fascinating to see who ends up pulling ahead in this race? It's going to be so fun to keep track of. And I honestly don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be one of 4 guys, man. I mean, I could see Scotty Fox pulling it out. I could see Nicco pulling this out, though. I mean, personally, I think Nicco will. Probably the first snap of the season will be taken by Nicco. I think, depending on how that first drive goes, I think you could see him maybe in the first quarter. Maybe you see Jaylen Henderson come in the second quarter or the second half, and maybe Scotty Fox or Max Brown is in cleanup, right? Or maybe they just all play a quarter. I mean, I really do think that's how it's going to look in the first game. I really do. So, I think Rich Rod's going to tinker around with it. You never know unless you're in a real game scenario what these guys are going to look like unless you turn it up to 100% in practice. Nobody really wants to do that. So let's roll, baby. I'm all about it. I think we're in a very deadlocked kind of situation, especially between 2 guys. But yeah, for now, Nicco, I'm hearing. So here's what I was specifically told. The 3 dudes that I spoke to today, all 3 said similar things. Of course, I was using what the other person said to the next guy. Like the first guy I talked to, who I talked to a lot, he said, listen, dude, Nicco Marchiol has been putting in a ton of work this offseason, but not only that, he's been a great leader, right? So I went to the next guy and said, hey, have you heard this? And just kind of corroborated it on down. So, that's kind of the way that went. Obviously with Jaylen, there are different people to speak to about that than Nicco sometimes. So, the one person I know that would know about that situation said he has been working extremely hard off by himself. So, not all alone. I don't know. I don't know who he works out with. You know what I mean? But I mean, I'm told he's been putting a lot of work in. So that's going to be interesting. And then obviously I heard a lot about Scotty Fox. As a matter of fact, I think I told you guys this before, but whenever a certain guy transferred in, he told me that he was, the day of his visit, apparently Scotty Fox was showing out because that's all anybody was talking about that day was Scotty Fox, Scotty Fox, Scotty Fox. This is a transfer offensive lineman. He said, man, all I heard about was Scott Fox. He said, I thought Scott Fox was going to be the guy, right? And this guy actually has pre-existing relationships with some of the players. So that's the update on the quarterback scenario. Like I said, nobody outside of Rich Rodriguez and maybe the staff know who they're really leaning towards. There are people with opinions. It depends on who you talk to. There are people with favorites. Depends on who you talk to. Some guys like Scotty Fox. Some guys like Nicco. Some guys like Jaylen. And I'm sure there are probably guys that even like Max Brown on the team that, there probably are. But overall, you got to give it to Nicco, number 1, Jaylen, number 2, until otherwise proven. Let's go to break really quick. What we'll do on the other side is kind of what the meat and potatoes of the episode is about. We're going to go down through it all. We're going to go through running backs, X receiver, Z receiver, slot receiver, tight ends, left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle, and so on and so forth, and really get into the nucleus of this team and who is fighting for these positions, Who is it that's spotting on through these positional battles? Well, that's what we're going to talk about next, right here on Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by Monarch Money. And when we talk about Monarch Money, we know they're doing it big because, look, whether you're growing your savings, planning a big purchase, or what have you, Monarch Money puts you in the driver's seat. It's kind of like having your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. And it's more than just a budgeting app, fellas, ladies. It's a complete financial command center where you can track accounts, investments, and spending in one easy, convenient place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building that wealth up, baby. And look, take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your very first year. In segment 2, let's crack a do and bring up a favorite topic of mine. And these positional battles, man. I love talking about it because this is where you get to stake your claims on certain guys. Yeah, this guy might not be the quote unquote hero in this position or that position, but this guy is a guy I'm betting on, right? And you get to throw down the gauntlet, man. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. All right. Let's roll through the positional battles. Who is fighting for these positional battles? In the running back room, we know Jaylen White is the starter. We know Ty Edwards is looking for a waiver. But who's fighting for that number 2 spot? Dior Hubbard, Jaylen Knighton, Sincere Bowers, Clay Ash, and Cannon Katzer are the suspects fighting for that number 2 running back spot. If Ty Edwards is ineligible, for now he is, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have him at number 2 personally. I do think that, that's subject to change, even if, even let's say he was eligible. I would still have Sincere Bowers possibly creeping up. You guys know this already, but for now, you got to give it to Jaylen Knighton, number 2, right? And maybe he would win it anyway. And then Dior Hubbard, I think, is number 3 for now. And then you're going to have a mixture of Sincere Bowers, Clay Ash, and Cannon Katzer kind of as the best of the rest. If Ty Edwards ends up not being eligible, I think you're going to see Jaylen White, Jaylen Knighton, Dior Hubbard, and one other guy get carries this year. And the other 2 may be cleanup duty guys. We run the ball a lot. I don't know if we'll use any more than 4 backs. I mean, goodness gracious. But I do think Sincere Bowers is a wild card here. You guys know that. I've been preaching it all off season. It's not a secret to anybody that watches this show. I'm a Sincere Bowers guy. If you're new around here, I'm a Sincere Bowers guy. Sincere Bowers is my dude. I believe in Sincere Bowers as much as anybody on this team. I think he's going to eventually be an elite player. I do. I think he'll probably this year, I think he'll probably have like a kind of like how Noel Devine's first year was, or, some of the guys like Tavon's first year, where it was like kind of more sporadic, where he had some big plays, didn't necessarily crush it, but he had some big plays, like holy cow, he went for 95 on that day, or he had a kickoff return that day, or, maybe he's got 300 or 400 yards and that's it. Right. But next year, look out. I think especially if we can get him to stick around. Oh boy. Yeah, I saw that. Somebody in the comments is saying Deion Sanders is stepping down. Guys, I know about this scenario. This is a West Virginia channel, and sometimes I don't know when it comes to things like that. I mean, I could do a story on Deion, absolutely. I could talk about how it affects West Virginia. I could talk about how it affects the Big 12. I could just talk about how it affects Colorado. It's just such an oversaturated event. Everybody in the country it's like Hulk Hogan, obviously. Like, if I were a wrestling show, I would talk about it, but would it be like my main topic of that day? I don't know. Like, I think the Deion Sanders thing, you maybe get a little more out of it tomorrow than you could today, where there aren't as many people talking about it. So you either have to, because the shows that have the biggest audiences are going to get the first dibs on the Dion story, in my opinion. It's just the way it works in the algorithm. Or you have to have one hell of a title and thumbnail, which can work, which I usually try to have. But it's one of the reasons my shows are successful is because I have learned title and thumbnail. But I digress. Anyways, I am very sorry to hear that about Dion. There's actually, I reposted a guy that said he was a coward, and then doubled down on it even after it came out that it was cancer. And then he deleted a lot of the comments of him doubling down on it, of course. So he's just trying to gaslight people. Joe knows, or whatever his name is, picks Joe picks, or I don't know. He's an idiot. He's got 84,000 subscribers. He knows what he's doing. He's just trying to gaslight people. I'm not going to call him racist because I have no clue if he's racist or not. But like, you just wonder sometimes with people. Like, Dion has rubbed a lot of people wrong, myself included. But I don't hate the guy. Like, I don't want him to have cancer. Makes no sense. Like, are you that heartless? Because like, if you're happy about him getting cancer, I highly question yourself to check your motives. Ask yourself, you honestly ask yourself why that is. If you're okay with the answer you give yourself, if it is because he's black or whatever, then hopefully you can live with that, But the reason I say it that way is, what other reason could it be? Like, sure, guys are loudmouths all the time. It doesn't mean I wish cancer on them. Like, there has to be an extra layer to that hatred if you're happy about cancer. It just makes no sense. Anyway, I don't even want to go any further into that because it's just too complex for me to. I don't want to dive into it. I'm not race baiting. I'm not saying it's racism or not. I'm just questioning somebody. Like, if you're glad about it, that it looks really bad anyways, at the very least, right? On you as a person. Like, please don't ever be glad about a guy getting cancer just because he's loud and proud about who he is. I mean, he's not for everybody, sure. You don't deserve cancer. I don't wish that on anybody. Anyway, back to the running back. So obviously we've talked about Sincere Bowers a lot. I don't want to make this a Sincere Bowers show. If Jaylen Knighton is back to 100%, he might take that number 2 running back spot and never look back, right? Gene White gets overlooked because he's the obvious number 1, right? Got the official height and weight of him as well, if you want to know. Gene White officially now 5'7", 192. Ty Edwards, 6'2", 228 is what he's came in as now. Dior Hubbard is 5'10", 191. Jaylen Knighton, 5'10", 185. Sincere Bowers at 5'10", 191 and a 4.35 40, baby. That's nasty. Clay Ash, 5'9", 196. So he's muscular. Cannon Katzer, 5'9", 189. A lot of you guys know I love Cannon Katzer as well. I certainly think that he's another one that you can look at in their room and think, man, he could be really productive if he gets some totes. All right, moving on to wide receiver. So you've got your X, you got your Z, you got your slot, right? X receiver, split end, right? Cam Vaughn, Jeff Weimer, Logan Ramper. Those are the 3 guys I have in that room right there, at least for now. Let me consult this other. Those are the 3 guys I have in there for now. If you look at the Z, you've got Jaden Bray, Christian Hamilton, Jordan McCants, Gerald Williams, Justin Smith-Brown. That's who I have fighting for the Z spot. The other spot, which is at the slot, you've got Rodney Gallagher, Oron Singleton, Gerard Bowie, Preston Fox, Cyrus Traw, and Armoni Weaver. Camden Pittsburgh and Jordan McCants are also in that possible slot era. So I think Logan Ramper is a guy that you can move to the opposite end of a Cam Vaughn as well. I think he's, you can split them both out wide if you need to. but they're going to be X receivers, which means deep receivers. I think very similar to Jeff Weimer. Flanker receivers. I went ahead and made a list of what each position means because I think a lot of the people that watch me are probably hardcore fans, but some of you guys are casual fans. So I'm going to explain to you what X, Z, and SL mean. An X receiver is your split end receiver. It just means that you align on the line of scrimmage and awfully primarily a deep threat or somebody that's going to stretch the field vertically. That's typically your X receiver. Your Z receiver or your flanker is typically somebody that's off the line. Usually they excel at intermediate routes and creating mismatches with their agility, right? And then you've got your slot receivers who operate closer to the formation right beside the tight end, and they focus on short routes. They provide some flexibility. Sometimes they have some stop blocking duties, which Rich Rod talks about a lot. And these roles vary by scheme, but generally speaking, like this is the basic way you look at these receiving positions. Cam Bond, Jeff Weiner, Logan Ramper are going to be your guys that run the deeper routes. Jaden Bray, Christian Hamilton, Jarrell Williams, Justin Smith Brown are going to run intermediate and deep and close. All of them run intermediate, deep, and close, but like primarily wide, X's are going to run those intermediate routes. So like these are more like you look at like a Jaden Bray or a Justin Smith Brown. They're all bigger guys, right? Justin Smith Brown, 6 feet, 184. Jaden Bray, 6'2", 205. Jarrell Williams, 6'2", 203. They're going to be guys that are going over the middle more. Slot receivers are just like we talked about. Think of Wes Welker or Julian Edelman, like those type of players, right? Okay, now that we've done that, let's talk about the positions. It's pretty simple. At X, it's Cam Vaughn and Logan Ramper. Those are the two guys, in my opinion. Z, you got to give that to Jaden Bray, followed by Justin Smith Brown, in my opinion. Christian Hamilton and Jarrell Williams can fight for the next two spots. At the slot receiver spot, I've got, for now, I think you have to give Rodney Gallagher the push before the summer, but I'm going to be eyeing this closely because I think there's a couple guys that can absolutely start there, notably Preston Fox, Rodney Gallagher, obviously going to be there, Oron Singleton. Gerard Bowie is going to be a guy you got to fend off. Cyrus Traw is a guy that I think runs excellent routes. And this is going to be a position here that I think they're going to rotate a lot. You might see 2 or 3 guys a game there. So, and then if they have any other receiver spots that trot out there, you can look at this group of guys here and think they'll be definitely people that would be candidates, right? Tight ends, right? What do tight ends do? Well, just to explain it to those that may be casual fans, it's okay to explain, right? Tight ends often act as a hybrid between linemen and receivers. They block in the run game. They also catch passes. Some only specialize in one or the other. Some guys are specifically run blocking tight ends. Some guys are specifically pass blocking or pass catching tight ends. And some are a mixture of both, like Cole Taylor was last year. This year, I think we don't have but maybe 2 guys that I would consider receiving tight ends. Everybody else is like, I'm not sure. So in my opinion, for now, Grayson Barnes is probably going to be your pass catching starting tight end. But I think Jacob Barrick rolls out there with the starters day one in a run formation. Outside of those 2 guys, you got Colin McBee, you got Noah Braham, who's another guy that can really block. You got Genros, who is 6'6", 230 pounds, and is a great athlete. He's the wild card. If he turns out to be what his ceiling is, then you're talking about a guy that could be an all-conference player at the position, and it changes the offense. Changes our offense 1,000%. Like if we get a guy at the tight end spot, and Grayson Barnes could also be that for us, we might end up being more of a passing offense than people think, and I'm dead serious. I'm not saying we'll pass more than run, But I do think we're going to have, I'm told you guys yesterday, I feel like our wide receiver tight end room is much better than it's ever been under Neil Brown. Let's go to break. We'll break down the offensive line next. Left tackle, left guard, center, guard, right tackle. Who are battling out those specific positions? We talk about it next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by Game Time. Excuse me, guys. Game Time. We talk about Game Time every day. That's because we've all been there, logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sales, only to lose your spot for some show you're pretty much dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Look, makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever, and prices actually drop as time gets closer to showtime. You can save 60% off with last-minute killer deals if you're smart enough to actually interact with Game Time. Are you tired of endless scrolling, trying to find the best deal? Game Time's Zone Deals pick is the best for you, especially when you want best seats in your section. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Times apply. Don't forget the times. But create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off today, and download the Game Time app where you can get last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed, and you ask yourself the question of all questions. What time is it? It's game time. All right, guys, we are back here in segment 3. Appreciate you guys for joining in. This has been a good episode so far. All right, back to these positions here. So you've got left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle, who are battling it out in these positions. So at the left tackle spot, from what I can gather research-wise and based off of what they've been before, what I've been told by people, etc., Malik Agbo, Nick Cray, and Michael Clay will battle it out at the left tackle spot. Those are your 3 guys, in my opinion. Left guard is Walter Youngbear, Donovan Haslam, Josh Isosa, Cooper Young, and Philip Bowser. Right? Right guard is Kimo Makanayole, Aiden Bussell, Wyatt Minor, Raymond Kovalevsky, and Griffin Fogel. And at right tackle, you've got Tykees Crawford, Xavier Bosley, and possibly Michael Clay. 1 point to make. I do think Xavier Bosley can move over to left tackle and potentially play there as well. And I'm not taking him. At the end of the day, I think he is going to be. I just can't do it to him. I'm going to put him over on the left spot at left tackle, even though he's primarily played right tackle. I think I like Xavier Bosley over what we have at the left tackle room right now, even with Nick Cray there, even with Malik Agbo there. That's my opinion. I'm going to put this Bosley over there, or maybe I put Crawford over there. However you want to slice it, but that's my opinion for now. Left guard, you got to give it to Walter Youngbear. It's really not close, I don't think. He's very good. I think he's the best in-house on the left side. Here's where it gets really tough. I'm a big Carson Lee fan. I love his work at Eastern Michigan. I think it's very underrated. I think a lot of our fans don't realize how good he is. He's played over 1,000 snaps. And he was brought into Mississippi State to be a starter. And so here he is now having to battle it out with the guy, Landon Livingston, who has been groomed for this position. Landon Livingston is bigger. He's 6'4", 294. Carson Lee, 6'2", 327, as you guys know as well. I've had Carson on this show. That does play a little bit of a factor. I'd be lying if I told you it didn't. Knowing somebody gives you inherent bias. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not biased. That said, I think even Carson would admit, for now, it's Landon Livingston's job. But I do think Carson Lee will factor in here. And ultimately, I do think he's going to play on this offensive line a lot. I just think, I just the writing on the wall says Landon Livingston is. They took him up to the Big 12 media days. He's been on a lot of the media promotions that you've seen put him out. You've seen him put out. So that tells you a lot about how they feel about Landon. He's basically on the cover of a lot of different things they're doing. One of the faces of the program this offseason, for better, for worse. So Livingston definitely has the edge. Right guard is definitely interesting. I'm in a similar scenario here. Kimo Makaniole, Aiden Bussell are the two guys that'll fight it out there, in my opinion. Um, I think if Aiden Bussell can get in shape, I think he wins that job. I really do. What does that do for Kimo? I don't know. I love Kimo. Here's the thing. Maybe Kimo moves over to. I can't knock Kimo out, and I can't knock Young Bear out, and I want Bussell to play. That's a hard one. I don't know I don't know what to pick there. I'm going to do an or here for now. Kimo Makaniole or Aiden Bussell with a slight edge towards Kimo. But my one, and John, if you listen to this show, John Macaniole, who you've commented on a couple of these, if you could answer me down below, or if you could have Kimo reach out to me, like you said, um, explain to me why he got moved to D line at LSU, please. It just gives me cause to pause. Anybody and I don't have any tape on him at LSU, and I would love that as well, John. If we could work this out or through email. My email is at Paul. It's ROCKELPAUL0 at gmail.com. ROCKELPAUL0 at gmail.com. Reach out to me there. I would love to watch some tape on the kid and try to make a determination. But yeah, for now, I got to give him the edge over Aiden, but it's close. Right tackle. It's got to be Tykees Crawford. It's hard to say anybody else until proven otherwise. He's a phenom. I think he's a good player. Chance to be a great player. We'll see if he can do it. Guys, we can go and do. Well, I guess we can do D-line if you guys want to. Obviously, on the defensive side of the ball, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. But you've got obviously Jamore Robinson, Eddie Kelly Jr., Wilson Telemack, Carter Zuliani, Taylor Brown, Corey McIntyre Jr., Jackson Beiser, Nate Gabriel, Devin Grant, Sonny Redwood, Elijah Simmons, Quentin Goins, Edward Bester-Rennan, Adam Tomczyk, Brandon Caesar, and Hammond Russell. It depends on if you're 3 or 4 down. That's what I would say to you. But for now, I'll just pick 4 guys. Hammond Russell, obviously, is a starter. Eddie Bester-Rennan is a starter. Devin Grant is going to be a starter, in my opinion, alongside of Jamori Robinson if he's eligible. If Jamori's not eligible, then it's Eddie Kelly. Or I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Hammond Russell, Eddie Bester-Rennan, Eddie Kelly Jr., Jamori Robinson, and then a heavy dose of Devin Grant, Sonny Redwood. Obviously, you got Nate Gabriel that'll be backing up one of the guys on the D line. But can soar up to starter status for sure. I think he's got that chance. He's that good. Corey McIntyre as well. Now we get to the Bandits. We got 4 good ones. Braden Siders, Curtis Jones Jr., Marshawn Oxley, and Keenan Eck. Picking one here is like pulling teeth, man. It really is. Braden Siders is the best of both. He's the best run block slash pass rushing guy. Curtis Jones is a total wild card. I have no clue. I mean, we've heard a lot about him. We haven't seen a lot of him. We've heard a lot of great things saying he's hit a growth spurt. Marshawn Oxley is an excellent pass rusher. We watched video on him yesterday. The dude can flat out rush the passer at a power 4 level. So got to give him some props there. At linebacker, man, good God, what do you do here, you know? I think you're going to give Chase Wilson the Mike spot. And then I'm going to give Ben Bogle a spot. And that may be controversial because Reed Carrico's right there, right? On his heels. No doubt. You guys know I love Cam Torber. He's a freshman. I think he'll play this year. Ben Cutter is going to play a lot. John Lewis is going to play a lot. Like, we've got a few guys there. Ashton Woods could play a lot, I think, possibly, if he's ready. But it's definitely room to keep an eye on. Corners, pretty easy. Michael Coach Jr. and Jordan Scruggs. Next, you know, that's the easiest one on the whole list. Devontae Cole Nelson's your third guy. And then you got to develop a fourth guy. I don't know who that's going to be yet. Safeties, nickel and regular. Obviously, Fred Perry is your nickel starter. You know, obviously they play with multiple safeties in this game. So you're going to have a nickel that's down low, and then you're going to have 2 high safeties, who I think will be – it's tough, man. It's really tough. But I think ultimately Jordan Walker and I'm going to have to go with Darren Lewis. I just don't know yet, you know, because you never know how these guys are going to learn the scheme. That's the thing, too. Like, Will Davis is certainly there. Man, he's big playmaker. I don't envy whoever has to pick our safeties. So that's pretty much it for now, guys. We've gone through it all. That's right, Shaq. Thank you very much. He was asking if my email is correct in the chat box. It is rockelpaul0@gmail.com. Yeah, thank you, Shaq. We've got over 100 people on YouTube. We've got over a couple hundred people over on X. If you could hit that like button wherever you're at, or if you want to come over here, hit the like button. That would be much appreciated. Leave a comment down below, please. I would really appreciate that as well. Share the video out if you're on X, or repost it. If you're watching this on X, can you repost the video? I would appreciate that a lot. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I don't have a lot going on today, so if there's a topic that I can think of to talk about, I will. Maybe we need to go basketball. Obviously, TBT's on tonight. Maybe we'll wait till their game is over and talk about them. But I don't have a lot to do today. I might have to do a recording on Not Dead Yet podcast. It's already to the point over there where I have a friend. I'm curious if she's that dedicated to it or not. If she's not, I may go another route with that podcast. She's just very busy and she's doing a lot of different things. It's not that she doesn't want to, but I definitely don't want it to be starting because it's already successful. The first video did well, but I have other aspirations I could definitely use it for. And I could create another account if I had to. Maybe we'll do that. All right, guys. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team every single day. Do me a big favor, though. Check out Locked On Portal with Brian Smith. The latest rumors, the latest portal signings. He's your guy. He crushes it over there, just like you guys crush it every day where you're at. And I'll see you on the next one, man. Have a great week. Have a great day. And I love you guys. I'm out.